Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel and welcome back to Sniper Elite 5. It's been a while since the game released and now I've had time to play through it and really think about it. I want to give you guys my opinion on it. But before we start, I do want to put a fairly big spoiler warning on this video, so if you haven't finished the game yet, just don't watch this video, come back later instead. So, without further ado, let's get into this. The basic premise of Carl Fairbairn's adventures in Sniper Elite 5 is that Carl must find and kill Abelard Mola, an evil Nazi officer who is responsible for massacring the town of Colline-sur-Mer. But once on Mola's trail, Carl finds out that the man is masterminding development of a mysterious new superweapon, codenamed Operation Kraken. From here, with the help of resistance fighters Charlie and Marie, and the US Rangers, Carl must follow a multitude of leads to gather intel and stop Operation Kraken and kill Mola. The game is set around the events of D-Day, which is a fairly tired trope, especially if you live in 2008, but the game manages to make it not feel that tired, due mostly to the fact that there's only one mission that actually really feels like it's D-Day and the rest just feels like your usual Sniper Elite behind enemy lines sort of action. Whilst the story is basically a rinse and repeat from Sniper Elite 4, the introduction of more cutscenes through the game does wonders for the character development, which had previously been the series' biggest issue. Carl and Ranger Sullivan see sizable character development to the point where I actually felt invested in the game's story, which was not something I felt with the previous games. Despite her constant annoyingness, Charlie also works as a much more fleshed out character than the series is used to. My one complaint with the characters is that because of Charlie, Marie has a much smaller role than she really should have had, with her only really being present to drive Carl to and from different places. This annoys me more than it should, because Marie is a rare example of a recurring character, and she was wasted in what really should have been her moment in the limelight. But, ignoring that one minor nitpick, the character development in this game is a huge step forward from the Sniper Elites of old, and I must commend that. Additionally, Operation Kraken is by far the best Nazi superweapon we've seen in the series so far. Sniper Elite V2's tab-and-loaded V2s were believable but not very imaginative. Sniper Elite 3's Rat Tank was too absurd, although it was going to be a real thing, and Sniper Elite 4's Razor missiles were just a bit boring, considering they had that technology within a year anyway. However, Project Kraken, with its plan to load V2 rockets onto Japanese I-400 submersible aircraft carriers, hits the sweet spot between believability and complete superweapon madness. The campaign is set across 8 main story missions along with a playable epilogue. As was the case with Sniper Elite 4, the maps these missions are set on are huge open expanses with hundreds of different routes to navigate through. Whilst 8 missions may not sound like a lot, each mission took me well over an hour to complete on my first playthrough, so there is quite a lot of content here. My issue with the campaign is that the map design just isn't as good as it was in Sniper Elite 4, and it kind of boils down to 2 reasons. Reason number 1 is that some maps are just kind of boring or poorly structured, which is a problem that the first mission has, with it just being a load of open fields with a couple of elaborate set pieces, such as the artillery gun and the radar installation. If you compare it to Sniper Elite 4's first mission, that is always interesting, and it doesn't rely on near linear set pieces to enhance the campaign experience. Mission 2 was another letdown for me. The map design here is really good, but the objectives let it down, with the only 2 objectives being to search the chateau for different items, leaving a good 3/4 of the map untouched by objectives. The other issue I have is that some maps can be really overpopulated, making blowing your cover far too easy and far too difficult to get out of. This is a problem that Mission 3 has, especially to the south side of the island, and to the bit north of the Abbey where the Alsam spies are training. They're both far too overpopulated, and that's before you factor in the arrival of reinforcements. I don't mind when parts of a map are heavily guarded. For instance, the Chateau entrance road in Mission 2 is great because it's an intense fight and it encourages flanking, but too many areas throughout Sniper Elite 5's campaign are just too overcrowded, making getting spotted a nightmare. I feel the map design has shifted away from Sniper Elite 4's method of make a fun play space and work from there, and has taken this new approach of make a realistic play space and then try to make it fun, which is just not as good of an approach. Additionally, the maps feel very hemmed in sometimes, which you can see with Mission 1's impenetrable hedgelines and Mission 4's abundance of unclimbable fences and walls. However, I don't want you to go away thinking that the maps suck, because they don't entirely suck. They're still decent, better than those of any major competitor, but they just aren't anywhere near the masterclass level that they were in Sniper Elite 4. The music has also seen an upgrade, with tracks like War Factory being very good, and feeling quite inspired from music like games such as World at War and GoldenEye. A smart decision was to not put the regular Sniper Elite theme in the menu screen and save it so the first time you hear it is when the credits roll, which made it feel a million times more impactful, and even gave me goosebumps, despite the fact that I don't really like the Sniper Elite theme that much anyway. When Invasion mode was announced, I thought it was a cool idea and that I'd play it once and then not touch it again. However, I feel that Invasion mode has been responsible for most of the publicity this game has got. I've got my friends playing the game and the first thing they've asked me is, can we do Invasion? People are going kind of crazy over it, and despite my initial impressions, I've really enjoyed invading other people's campaigns. However, Invasion is way too unbalanced in favour of the Invader. Rebellion made sure to give both sides loads of useful abilities to eliminate each other, but they must have simply forgot that the Invader can cross the map without getting shot at by every Nazi from here to Tobruk. As an Invader, all you have to do is follow the noise of gunshots, flank the Defender when your AI buddies are shooting them, and then just spray them in the back with a submachine gun. As a Defender, you're basically screwed if the Invader joins mid-gunfight, as whilst you may be using silenced weapons, the people shooting at you certainly aren't. To compensate for this, the Defender can use invasion phones to locate the Invader without giving away their position, but seeing as the Invader can both move and blend in with other Nazis, it really isn't a huge benefit. These issues are compounded by the fact that the Invader has all the attachments for all of their guns from the beginning, and by this I obviously mean that they can have an overpressured MP40 with soft point rounds at all times, which is way overpowered, especially seeing as the Defender will probably be running some mostly harmless silenced weapons. All in all, Invasion is a lot of fun, but only really when you're invading someone else, rather than being invaded. But with the addition of a mode where you invade your friends and some balancing tweaks, Invasion could end up being a perfect mode. Of all the modes in this game, Survival seems to be the one that got the most love during development. Survival has been vastly expanded on, now having multiple command post patterns for each map, with each being unlocked after the previous one has been completed. This adds a great deal of replay value and progression into Survival, and it also helps compensate for the fact that this time around there are only 3 survival maps to choose from, which, whilst still being more than Sniper Elite 3, is not nearly as many as Sniper Elite 4. To help with finding survival games, Rebellion has also implemented a games browser into the game, which is a really nice addition and is also available for multiplayer. Survival difficulty is weird in this one, however. Whereas in Sniper Elite 4 Survival, each wave felt more challenging than the next, I cannot say that this is true for this game's Survival. Whilst the difficulty is fairly good when playing solo, when you add friends into the mix it gets really weird. Me and 2 of my mates were playing Survival, and we were knocked just as much on wave 3 as we were on wave 12. Overall, survival is the best it's ever been in this game thanks to the new command post patterns, the ability to start from the wave of your choice, and the get out of jail free card ability to self-revive with the medkit. I don't like Sniper Elite 5's multiplayer. I don't like Sniper Elite's multiplayer in general. Team Deathmatch is good, but free-for-all is just full of corner-camping elitist knob bags, and No Cross is the standard issue mode for sitting crouched behind a window frame for 15 minutes, frantically scanning the horizon for the faintest of scope glints, whilst you look for enough money to buy a fun multiplayer game, or failing that, a good way to kill yourself. In all seriousness though, I have enjoyed playing Team Deathmatch. It's kind of fun to run up behind an enemy camper scrub and machine gun them whilst they're distracted with scanning for scope glints on the horizon. Additionally, the awards each player gets at the end of the game, like Longest Shot and Marksmanship, are very cool and straight out of GoldenEye, which I am starting to think is a favourite game at the Rebellion HQ. The implementation of a separate progression system for multiplayer is a good way to get people invested, but I feel that the players who come into this game late are going to have a very hard time adjusting to the massive, gaping chasm between the noobs and the pros. Sniper Elite multiplayer has never been particularly inviting to begin with, and I do worry that the new progression system will make it more difficult for future players, or just casual players in general, to just jump in and play without getting absolutely and quite horrifically bummed by someone who spends all day playing the game, especially seeing as this is a lot of people's first Sniper Elite game. The weapons roster has thankfully stepped away from the PTSD-inducing weapons roster of Sniper Elite 4. Don't get me wrong, I liked Sniper Elite 4's weapon roster, I really did, I thought it was pretty good. But I didn't like it when I'd seen it copy-pasted into both Strange Brigade and Zombie Army. Sniper Elite 5 introduces new weapons into the series, namely the SREM, RSC, Wellgun, Type 100, Nambu and Model D, whilst having enough generic World War II weapons to avoid alienating the beta male Vanguard MP40 spammer. The weapons sandbox also feels clearly designed as well, with each weapon having its own strengths and weaknesses and unique attachments. With the inevitable addition of the DLC weapons, this will of course disappear, with each weapon either carbon copying its stats from another pre-existing weapon, like the Sniper Elite 4 SVT did, or it will completely turn the meta on its head, like the Sniper Elite 3 HDM did. Die-hard sniper virgins are already complaining about the weapon attachments, and whilst I agree that they are completely unrealistic, such as the arrival of anachronistic American night vision scopes on German assault rifles, and some are just flat up wrong, like the comedy of errors relating to the design of the P08 Snail Mag, people are forgetting that Sniper Elite 3 had unrealistic weapon attachments too, and I didn't see anyone complaining about that, especially after the barren wasteland that was Sniper Elite 4's weapon customization. At this point, beggars can't be choosers, so stop complaining it's like Vanguard, because as anybody with eyes could tell you, it really isn't. Special weapons have been switched up a little, with the flare gun becoming a special weapon instead of an item, and the Panzerboost replacing the Neunfaust, which is cool. The MG42 replaces the FG42, and whilst the MG42 is undoubtedly a million trillion times better than the FG ever was, I can't help missing the insanely cool looking FG42. Enemies have had an overhaul, with the arrival of elite variants of regular troops as the sort of successor to Valkyrie squads. Machine gunners with MG42s have replaced support Jaegers. There are now 2 sniper ranks, the lower of which is a complete joke and the higher of which is a complete nightmare. Vampire Jaegers have night vision scopes to see easier in the dark, and there are now 2 officer ranks. Faust troopers now appear more often, especially in survival, and are much more deadly. Jaeger spam on the later levels has been greatly reduced from Sniper Elite 4, now with a fairly even split between infantry and Jaegers on the final levels, which is very nice. Radio operators were removed and replaced with static alarms, which I will talk about later. The motorcycle and sidecar have arrived as a lightweight attack vehicle, which they said would follow you everywhere, but in my experience it only sometimes does this. The 222 is back and is still fairly easy, but the tanks are a different story. The Panzer has been replaced by the mighty Tiger II, which is completely immune to all damage from the front, which makes it much more challenging for the player to destroy. The tank commander can also pop out the top hatch now, which is cool. For the most part, enemy intelligence has been much improved. They attack more aggressively, throw more grenades, snipers move around more, machine gunners are deadly, and vehicles are more dynamic now, although they aren't as dynamic as Rebellion was making them out to be before release. Overall, the enemies, at least in their AI, have improved. Tons of new features have been added to the game, including the ability to slide down some slopes. This is cool, but it effectively makes the map more irritating to traverse, as if you accidentally slip down a slope, you can't walk back up it again, which is quite annoying, so you have to go round. Ziplines are a cool new feature, and they allow you to flank around your enemies with ease. Crowbars and bolt croppers have been added to allow extra engagement with the environment, and doors and windows can now be opened, although unlike some games they feel kind of forced, rather than an actual realistic mechanic, which, considering GoldenEye nailed this 25 years ago, other games should have really caught on. Satchel charges now also have 2 fuse lengths, which is a nice touch. Gameplay is copy-pasted from Sniper Elite 4, with Carl running around blowing stuff up, although due to the map design it does seem like the game is remarkably quick to have you take out your submachine gun if you're a virgin, or your silenced pistol if you aren't. Changing the subject slightly, radio operators who were cool and innovative have been replaced with uncool, not innovative, copy-pasted from BF5 stationary alarms, which summon black-helmeted reinforcements to your position. I think the alarms are a step down from radio operators for a multitude of reasons. First, alarms are static, whereas radio operators are mobile, and also radio operators were very reluctant to call in reinforcements even if they knew exactly where you were. However, in Sniper Elite 5, at the mere mention of Karl's name, at least 7 Germans will run to the nearest alarm, which is never far away, and immediately request reinforcements like some sort of cowardly custard, instead of just doing the proper sporting thing and growing some balls. Whilst having the Nazis act like Mussolini's Italians is historically accurate, it doesn't make them that much fun to fight. Additionally, there are way too many alarms. In Sniper Elite 4 there were like a maximum of 2 radio operators per map, but in Sniper Elite 5 I'd be surprised if I go 5 seconds without seeing an alarm. There are a good few. I've not had too many bad ones, aside from the one that made Wolf Mountain softlock all the time, and the one where your character is infinitely reloading, and the one where I got shot through a wall. But other than that, I've only had minor issues, such as button presses occasionally not registering and animations starting late. I've heard horror stories from some people, although I feel that they're over-exaggerating their issues for the simple reason that they don't like the game. That's pretty much all I wanted to talk about for this game. I have said some negative things, but at the end of the day I still think this game is good. I just think that in some ways 4 did it better. This of course isn't my final opinion, as I want to wait till the game has received its share of DLC and bug fixes before I definitively settle on whether this is as good as 4 or not. But you guys have been asking for my current opinions, and so here they are. Thank you everyone for watching the video. Remember to like, subscribe and comment. It costs you nothing and it's a great way to help out the channel. Stay safe and goodbye.